The NBA is not just about what happens on the court. Behind every game, every stat line, and every highlight, there is a silent layer of pressure, expectation, and internal tension that fans rarely get to see. And in recent months, this hidden side of the league has become impossible to ignore. What we are witnessing right now is not simply a sequence of isolated situations. It is a broader pattern forming inside the NBA, where players, teams, and front offices are being tested in ways that go beyond basketball itself. Contracts, media narratives, locker room dynamics, and psychological pressure are now shaping careers just as much as talent and performance. This is the part of the NBA that doesn't make the scoreboard, but quietly decides futures. In today's league, every move is analyzed instantly. A missed game is no longer just a missed game. It becomes speculation. A quiet interview becomes a headline. A decision made behind closed doors can echo for years. Players are no longer evaluated only by what they do on the court, but how they handle pressure when the cameras are off. And that pressure is heavier than ever. Over the past few seasons, we've seen situations where players step away, teams go silent, and organizations struggle to control narratives that grow faster than any official statement. Fans ask the same question: what is really happening behind the scenes? The truth is, most of the answers never come out clearly. Instead, we see fragments, a report here, a quote there, a sudden change in rotation, a trade rumor that appears out of nowhere. When you connect these fragments, a very different picture of the NBA begins to emerge. Inside locker rooms, tension is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it shows up in body language, in leadership dynamics, or in the way players interact during timeouts. Coaches and executives pay close attention to these details because they know chemistry can decide a season before the playoffs even begin. Front offices today are under enormous pressure to balance performance, public perception, and long-term planning. A single contract decision can define a franchise's direction for years, and when that decision involves a player under intense scrutiny, every option becomes risky. Media coverage plays a crucial role in this environment. In the modern NBA, narratives can shift overnight. A player praised one week can be questioned the next. Social media amplifies everything, creating an atmosphere where silence itself becomes suspicious. This is why teams are increasingly careful about what they say and when they say it. Public statements are crafted not just for fans, but for agents, sponsors, and future negotiations. Every word matters. For players, the mental aspect of the game has never been more important. Physical talent alone is no longer enough. Handling expectations, criticism, and uncertainty is now part of the job description. Some players adapt quickly, others struggle in silence. And when a player struggles, the ripple effects can be felt across the entire organization. Coaches often placed in the middle of this storm. They must maintain authority, protect team culture, and keep the group focused, even when external noise becomes overwhelming. A coach's ability to manage personalities can be just as valuable as their tactical knowledge. This dynamic has led to a new kind of NBA story, one that unfolds slowly away from highlight reels, but has long-term consequences. Careers can pivot not because of injuries or age, but because of trust, communication, and internal alignment. Fans tend to see results, not processes. Wins and losses are easy to count, but the real battles often happen during practices, private meetings, and internal evaluations. These moments decide whether a player becomes a cornerstone or a question mark. What makes this era particularly challenging is the constant visibility. There's no off switch. Every movement, every reaction, every absence is noticed and interpreted. This creates an environment where players are always performing, even when they are not on the court. Some organizations handle this pressure better than others. Stable leadership, clear communication, and long-term vision can absorb external noise. Others react impulsively, chasing short-term fixes that create deeper issues down the line. When trust erodes between a player and a team, it rarely happens overnight. It starts with small misunderstandings, a role change, a delayed conversation, an unaddressed concern. Over time, these small cracks can widen into full fractures. This is why behind-the-scenes management has become one of the most valuable skills in the NBA. Teams that understand human dynamics gain a competitive advantage that doesn't show up in analytics. The league is evolving, not just in pace and space, but in how success is defined internally. Mental resilience, adaptability, and communication are now core components of winning cultures. As fans, we often focus on the surface, but the deeper story of the NBA is written in moments we never see, and those moments are shaping the future of the league right now. This is not about one game, one player, or one team. It's about a system under constant pressure where every decision carries weight. Understanding this hidden layer gives us a clearer view of why the NBA looks the way it does today. And as the season continues, these unseen dynamics will quietly determine which teams rise, which players thrive, and which situations reach a breaking point. Because in the NBA, what happens behind the scenes is often more powerful than what happens under the lights. What makes this moment in the NBA even more complex is that none of these situations exist in isolation. Every team is watching what happens around the league, learning from the mistakes and successes of others. Front offices talk, agents exchange information, coaches observe patterns, and players notice everything. When a franchise handles internal tension poorly, the consequences are not limited to one season. Reputations are built and destroyed quietly. Players remember how they were treated. Agents remember who communicated clearly and who avoided difficult conversations. These memories influence future decisions in ways fans rarely consider. The modern NBA is built on relationships as much as talent. Trust between a player and an organization is fragile. Once it breaks, rebuilding it is extremely difficult. This is why teams invest so much time in managing perceptions, even when they cannot control every narrative. Another factor that shapes these behind-the-scenes dynamics is the speed of information. Rumors spread faster than facts. A single anonymous report can change how a situation is perceived overnight. Even when inaccurate, these stories force teams and players to react, often defensively. Players today are constantly aware that their image is part of their value. Performance matters, but so does perception. This creates an internal conflict, focusing on the game while knowing that every action may be interpreted, shared, and judged publicly. For younger players, this environment can be overwhelming. Development is no longer linear, progress is expected immediately, and patience is rare. When expectations are not met, pressure intensifies quickly. Some players respond by elevating their game. Others withdraw, creating more questions than answers. Veteran players experience a different kind of pressure. Their legacy is constantly being evaluated. Leadership roles come with expectations that extend beyond scoring or defense. How a veteran handles adversity can influence locker room stability more than any play drawn on a clipboard. Coaches often act as mediators in these situations. They balance honesty with protection, accountability with empathy. The best coaches understand that managing emotions is just as important as managing minutes and rotations. Ownership plays a role that is often underestimated. Owners set the tone for organizational culture. Their patience, or lack of it, influences how aggressively teams react to adversity. Short-term thinking can undermine long-term stability. All of these factors contribute to a league where success is increasingly determined by what happens away from the spotlight. Championships are still won on the court, but they are prepared behind closed doors. As fans, gaining insight into these hidden layers helps explain why certain teams consistently compete while others cycle through talent without results. The difference is rarely luck, it is structure, communication, and trust. This evolving reality is reshaping how the NBA operates. Teams that adapt to these pressures gain a strategic edge. Those that don't fall behind, regardless of talent. Understanding this context allows us to see the league with more clarity. The NBA is not just a collection of games. It is a complex ecosystem where decisions, relationships, and pressure intersect every single day. And as the season moves forward, these unseen dynamics will continue to influence outcomes in ways that only become obvious after it's too late to change them.